Okay, so before you guys start this assignment, make sure that you've gone on to Edmodo and have reviewed all the videos that I gave you a link to for this program called Gravit. It is a pretty good alternative to Adobe Illustrator. A lot of the tools work the same. Some of the commands work the same. A little difference that I'll go over, but for the most part, I think this is going to be a pretty good alternative for us to use while we are while we're all at home and not in school. This is something we may even want to use after we get back to school. I think it's pretty robust and it's pretty powerful. So anyway, and for those of you guys that don't have Adobe Illustrator at home, this is a really good alternative. So before you start this assignment, before you start this illustration, stop if you haven't already. Stop the video, go back, review those videos, and go ahead and create your account in Gravit, and kind of work along, practice along with the video, and practice with the pen tool, and go ahead and try some of the other techniques and options, so that you're comfortable enough, so that when you start this illustration, you're not going to be totally blindsided by what we're doing here. So if you haven't, stop this video, go back and review the tutorials that I gave you a link to. Okay, after you've reviewed the videos and you've created your account in Gravit, go ahead and start working on our illustration. Now, I noticed there's a download option here. I haven't downloaded the software. I've just been using the online version. You can do whatever you're comfortable with. If you want to use the online version, that's fine. If you want to try downloading it, that's fine too. I'm going to continue on with the online version. So I'll go to Start Now. And automatically it's taking me to this window where I can choose the options of my project. Now, if I'm already logged in fact, I have my computer set to automatic login when I come to this website. So if I wasn't logged in, then it would take me to a login window where I would put in my email, my password, and all that stuff. But since I'm already logged in, it took me straight to this window. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Print. And then once I do that, I've got all these options of which size that I want to create a document for. These are all standard paper sizes. I'm going to go ahead and choose US letter landscape. Okay, so now it gives me this interface where I've got my document here, some information on the right, I've got some of my tools at the top, got my pages and my layers. First thing I want to do is I want to import the graphic that I'm going to trace over to create my illustration. We're going to use this image right here, this illustration of a plane in the night sky with clouds and stars. So I have this PNG. We're going to use this in Gravit to trace over, very much like we do with Adobe Illustrator. And we'll bring a JPEG in or something, and we'll put that first layer in template mode, and then create a new layer on top of that. It's kind of what we're going to do here. So we're going to use this image here. So the first thing I want to do is to click on this button right here, Image. Click on it and go Place Image. It's going to give me a window. I'll click, and I know that the image is on my desktop, so I'll click right here, hit Choose, and the image shows up in my work area in Gravit. So now before I do anything, there's no template mode in Gravit, but I need to make this image light enough so that when I start to draw over it, I'll be able to see my line work. So I'm going to go over to opacity. While I have this selected, I'm going to go over to my opacity and just take this slide rule down and move down to about, say 50%. All right, that should be good enough for us to work with. Okay, now in my layers window here, okay, I want to lock this layer so that I don't move it around and I don't accidentally select it. So I'll lock it, and then up top, this little plus sign with the document will let me create a new layer. So I'm going to click here, create a new layer. That's the layer I'm going to work on. Okay, so I'm going to take my first thing I want to do is start to draw the plane. Now I'm going to work from what I perceive to be the paths that should be in front of other paths. Like for example, I'm going to zoom in here. And again, Command plus works the same way it does in Illustrator. Command minus, same way. So I'm going to zoom in to the main cabin. And the first thing I want to do is I want to create the windows. So I'm going to take my pen tool, which is right here, and when I click on it, I want to select pen. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click and create window. Now, it has kind of this dark blue fill. You can use, with this illustration, you guys can use whatever colors you want to use. I don't care. It doesn't have to look like the PNG. It can be whatever colors you want. Knock yourself out. So I'm going to go over to here to my fill, and I can see that the fill is white and that it has a border of, it looks like black. So the first thing I want to do is I want to click on my fill right here and choose a color. I think I'm going to go with this blue right here for my fill, but I don't want it to have a stroke. I don't want it to have an outline around it. They're calling it a border. So now I'll go and click on border, and I'm going to go and select, let's see, the transparency, and I'm going to bring the transparency all the way down. Okay, so we're not getting rid of it, we're actually just making it completely transparent. So then I go back with the pen tool and do the same thing, create the next window. Now, these are a little bit funky as they snap into place. So I'm going to see if there's a snap option. Ah, here it is. No, I don't want to use snapping. So now I can put the line wherever I want. Before, when I had it turned on, it was like snapping into place. I want to put the lines where I want to put them. So I'm going to go up here and finish that. Now, you could take these two and copy and paste them, mirror them. I'm just going to go ahead. They're simple enough. I'm just going to go ahead and just redraw them. And you'll notice the fill color is still the same. And the stroke or the border is not showing up because I put it in transparent mode. Here, here. Okay, so I've got the windows of my plane in place. Next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and draw the outline of the main cabin. So I'm going to go up to my rectangle tool, and I'm going to start from about here, and I'll click. Wow, look at that. That's pretty good, huh? Okay. There. Now I don't want it right now. I don't want to fill, so I'll go up here and click on transparent, or I can use that slide rule. But I do want, in this case, I do want a border. Actually, you know what? I think I do want it filled white. So let's go ahead and fill this with white. Do we have white? I don't see white in my color library. So I'm just going to move this right all the way up to the top so that it fills in white. So now I'm going to go back and take my sub-select tool. Remember, like in Illustrator, we have a select tool and we have a sub-select tool. The black pointer tool is the select tool, and the white pointer tool is the sub-select tool. So I'm going to use the sub-select tool. And now once I clicked on it, you see I've got these little red buttons right here. They're going to let me put rounded corners to this rectangle. So I'm going to click on this red area here. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to keep moving it to right about there. Now I'm going to kind of guess at what this looks like. I think it's okay. If you want to not fill it with color before you arrange it, that's fine. But this will be good enough for us. So now I can't see the windows. I'm going to move this to the back. I'm going to see if there is an option here. Modify, arrange, send to back. Okay, good. And then I will deselect. So now I've got my windows. I've got the main cabin outline. Now I want to go in and do also, if I hold the space bar, it gives me the hand that I can navigate around the document. So now I'm going to go in and put in the jets. Now if you notice, we've got red, blue, gray, blue, and then gray again. Again, I'm going to start from the inside out rather than work in the opposite direction, because this is going to let me create an object and then create my next object and send it to the back. So I'm going to go and select my ellipse tool and start from about here. I'm going to hold the shift key down to create a perfect circle, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill that. Now if you make a mistake and you end up putting it here, you can just take it and just move it over as you need it and resize it as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do that again. Shift, create, and this time I want to make my fill. Let's make it. It looks like a red. Let's go with red right here. Okay. So now I want to copy and paste this in the same place, but I want to drag it out from the center out so that all these circles are all have the same center point. But the funny thing is, if I click on this object, and if I click on this object and copy it, why is it not letting me copy it? Okay, so if I copy it, Command C. Oh, did it let me do that? It didn't let me do it before. Let's try and paste it. No, it won't. Okay, so if I copy and paste is not going to work. What I have to do is to select the object and then go to Edit and hit Duplicate, okay, or Command D. So I'll duplicate. So now I should have two there. And now I'm going to hold the Shift key and the Option key. Remember, Shift key to resize the object, the Option key to keep it as a perfect circle. So I click on a corner point and drag out. Okay, so now it's this big red circle. I want to go into my fill, and I want to make that, say, a dark blue. Okay, but now I want to do the same thing. I want to move to the back. So I'll go to Modify, Arrange, Send it back. So now I've got my inner circle, which is red. I've got my outer circle, which is blue. And now I'm going to click on this again. I want to do the same thing. Edit, Duplicate. In this case, I'm going to make it a gray. Let's go with a light gray. Okay, and then same thing. Shift, Option, click and drag out to there. And then Modify, Arrange, Send it back. Do it again. Edit, Duplicate, fill it with the same blue I did before, and then Shift, Option, click and drag out. Oh, I had to quickly click and drag out, didn't I? Did I? Nope, yep, click and drag out. Now I'm going to move this to the back, and now I've got one more circle to do. So again, Edit, Duplicate, Shift, Option, click and drag out, and I want to fill it with the same gray that I used for this inner circle here. So I'll go back here, I think it was this one, and then I will take this and Modify, Arrange, Send it back. So now I've got my engine built, and I'm going to keep it like this. But now what I want to do, if I take a look at the other side, I've got the same engine on the other side. So what I want to do is I'm going to select this whole thing, Edit, Duplicate, and move it over to the other side. Okay. Now what I probably should have done is create a guideline here so that I can line this up correctly, but I think we'll be good for now. Okay, so let's zoom out and take a look at this. Okay, so it looks pretty good so far. We've got the main cabin, we've got the windows, we've got the engines. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the wings.